Over 2 billion times a day, someone pours a cup of coffee. It is a completely mundane routine, a cheap, dark liquid we drink without a second thought to wake up before a shift or a morning commute. But the history behind that diner mug involves a legacy of piracy, espionage, and human enslavement. For centuries, rulers and empires attempted to hoard or ban the plant. They discovered that once the world developed a taste for the bean, no wall or law was strong enough to keep the seeds from crossing borders. The $400 billion global industry we see today exists because every one of those early attempts at a total monopoly collapsed under the weight of high demand and biological theft. The story begins with a wild shrub. In the 9th century, Coffea arabica grew quietly in the highland forests of Ethiopia, but it was 15th century Sufi monks in Yemen who first roasted the beans into a drink they called kahwa, using the caffeine to stay awake through long nights of chanting and prayer. Yemen quickly turned this spiritual tool into an economic weapon. They cultivated the plant in the mountains and established the coastal city of Mocha as the single, exclusive hub for the global coffee trade. To maintain their control, they implemented a biological lock. Every bean was boiled or partially roasted before it could be loaded onto a ship. This ensured merchants received a product they could brew, but never a seed they could plant. By hooking the powerful Ottoman Empire and wealthy European merchants on a supply they strictly bottlenecked, Yemen made their crop dangerously valuable. They created an incentive for rival powers to risk everything to steal a live plant. The first breach occurred in 1616, when a Dutch trader successfully slipped a live coffee plant out of Mocha and smuggled it to Amsterdam. Within years, the Dutch were clearing forests in Java to build the world's first massive colonial plantations. The French joined the race in 1723. A naval officer named Gabriel de Clieu secured a single cutting and sailed for the Caribbean. When the ship's water supply ran low, he shared his own meager daily ration with the plant, a single drop of water at a time, to keep the fragile clipping alive. Brazil entered the market through outright espionage. In 1727, a Portuguese diplomat used an illicit affair with the wife of a French governor to smuggle fertile seeds out of French Guiana, hidden inside a farewell bouquet of flowers. These 3 heists provided the genetic foundation for almost all modern coffee cultivation. Those stolen seeds radiated out from Yemen to Java, the Caribbean, and Brazil, moving the center of production away from the Middle East forever. While the smuggling stories sound like adventures, the actual scaling of these agricultural empires relied on a much darker economic model. The Dutch, French, and Portuguese powers built their massive plantation systems in Haiti, Java, and Brazil by extracting the labor of millions of enslaved people. Brazil eventually grew to produce a third of the world's coffee, and that production became the primary economic engine that kept the institution of slavery profitable in that country until 1888, making it the last nation in the Western Hemisphere to abolish the practice. The cheap availability of coffee in Western cities was directly subsidized by the immense human suffering of the transatlantic slave trade. Once the drink was affordable, authorities tried to control how it was used. Ottoman sultans and European priests issued decrees banning coffee houses, fearing they were breeding grounds for political dissent. The bans failed. Coffee houses instead became the penny universities of London's Enlightenment and the gathering places for American revolutionaries who abandoned British tea in favor of a new, patriotic brew. In the 19th century, vacuum-sealed packaging and industrial roasting shifted coffee from a civilian luxury into a massive military asset. During the American Civil War, Union soldiers valued their coffee beans as much as their ammunition. While the Confederacy struggled with roasted chicory and acorn substitutes, the North's reliable supply chain kept soldiers alert and gave them a documented strategic advantage. Coffee maintained its place in global society by shifting roles, first as a spiritual tool, then as a fuel for revolution, and finally as a military necessity. After World War II, mass-market success nearly achieved what the early bans could not. In the race to produce the cheapest possible product for grocery store shelves, corporate roasters destroyed the quality of the drink. By the 1970s, as big brands cut costs with bitter, low-grade beans, American coffee consumption plunged. A younger generation was turning away from a product that had become watery, stale, and industrial. The plant that survived pirates and sultans was finally neutralized by the mediocrity of corporate cost-cutting. The reversal began in 1982 when Howard Schultz visited an espresso bar in Milan. He realized American coffee was missing the community and the craft of the authentic Italian cafe. Schultz built Starbucks into a chain that made coffee aspirational again, paving the way for the third wave of independent roasters who treat beans with the same geographic precision as fine wine. Today, the highest prices in the specialty market are once again paid for beans from the exact Ethiopian highlands where the plant originated over 1,000 years ago. Your morning cup is a liquid record of human greed and ingenuity. Every latte carries the weight of 500 years of global history, brewed into a single serving.